Hey, welcome back to Marriage Beyond the Veil.
Hola.
And this is Fred.
Yes, that would be me. And this is Gail.
Okay, so one thing that I like to do is sort of check in with young couples that have recently gotten married or been married less than 5 years to see, looking back on what changes they had to make in their life, now that they are one.
Okay.
So I was checking in on a couple of my couples, and one of the things that
A
they,
couple of your couples?
yes, a couple of my couples, and one of the things that they all talked about was this new balance of
Tennis
having,
shoes?
yes, New Balance tennis shoes. Not one of my favorite brands, but this new balance of trying to always make sure that everything they do is now inclusive.
Okay. It's a
And
different world.
yeah,
It's
it's
a
a
different
completely
world.
different world.
Yeah.
So, just picture, this. So you've been on your own for many, many years, and now all of a sudden, everything that you have to do, you have to consider someone else.
Well, what that does though, it heightens one's awareness to the fact that yes, I need to be concerned about someone else, which I think is a good thing. Because unfortunately, I think by the very nature of our humanity, we tend to be kind of narrow-minded and look at things from the perspective of how it impacts me first and foremost. So having, I guess, an environment that's really conducive to constantly thinking about inclusion, I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, I do too. And, I had to think back. Oh, it wasn't that hard, but when we first got married, and, some of the funny things was me trying to figure out what he would eat and whether or not he would like it. But then also, just remembering like if I went out and did something to just check in and say, oh, by the way, I'm out, now I'll never forget the time that you were working on the job, remember? And
This was before cell phones and such.
that were common. And
Yeah.
um,
Long time ago, the
he was
Galaxy
out
phone.
working and it just got later and later and later. And so then, of course, I went to the worst possible scenario. He had been in a car accident. It's just down to those simple little things, making sure that you're checking in with your spouse, before you spend or make a big purchase. Before you bought cars, I bought cars. But once we got married, that's not a purchase that I would make without consulting you.
Well, I mean, when you're talking about though coming together and finances together and whatnot, it impacts the household, right? Whereas, like you said, when you're single, it's just you and your decisions. But I mean, not that you quote unquote need permission, but you want to be inclusive. Absolutely. Because again, those kinds of things does have an impact on everyone in the household.
Yeah, and a lot of couples, feel like what's mine is mine, because that's the way that it's always been. But now, you like I said, you're into this marriage and this union, and so you do really have to think about the unity of all things, and that definitely does include, making major decisions.
It does. But yeah, when you mentioned the, constant inclusion, I was thinking about something different. However, being inclusive on all levels is really, really, I think, something that is important. Uh, because again, at the end of the day, you want to be able to respect the person that you love. You want to be able to love the totality of who they are. But you have to be mindful. Everyone wasn't raised the way you were raised.
That's true.
Everyone isn't acclimated to what you're acclimated to. You could have grown up in the same neighborhood, similar situations with families and all that, but situations, experiences, lessons have been different. And so being respectful and mindful of where people are, not necessarily where you want them to be or where you thought they would be or where you would hope for them to be, but where they are. Um, and making up it conducive for you to grow together to be the very best that you can be united.
Right. United, exactly. I just saw a pizza commercial, and that's another thing I thought about. It's just like a pizza. I mean, it is, because what you used to get on your pizza was what you liked, and now you got to consider what someone else likes.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
what's on your pizza?
Half and half. Until tomorrow.
It sure is.
If the Lord says the
Bye.
same.